On Christmas Eve, the snow didn't fall gently. It dropped fast, heavy, cold, almost angry, like the sky felt the same ache the streets did. Under that falling white silence stood a young mother, Claire, holding her little girl Emily close to her chest. Both were shivering, both trying to stay strong. Behind them, an apartment they no longer had the right to enter. Their lives squeezed into two tired suitcases, their future shrinking with the daylight. This was supposed to be a night of warmth and laughter, but instead, Claire stood on a freezing sidewalk, fighting tears she couldn't afford to let fall, not with Emily watching. What Claire didn't know was this. Across the square, a pair of eyes had been watching her, not out of suspicion, not out of pity, but out of something much deeper. And that stranger would turn this painful night into the beginning of something she never expected. Before we start the story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe in kindness, second chances, and helping people who feel the world has forgotten them. Claire held Emily tighter, trying to block the wind with her own thin coat. Her mind replayed the last few months like a movie she never asked to watch. The bakery she worked at closed. No notice, no severance, just gone. Her savings ran out slow at first, then fast. Rent, food, bus fare, bills that didn't care about kindness or holidays. She cleaned houses, took late-night shifts at a small cafe, sold her necklace, her mother's necklace, just to buy groceries. But hardship doesn't ask if you're doing your best. It just keeps coming. The eviction notice arrived 3 days before Christmas. She begged the landlord for one more week. He shook his head. Cold, indifferent, done. And now here she was, on Christmas Eve, homeless, scared, trying to pretend she wasn't breaking. Emily's small sobs pressed into her shoulder. Claire whispered promises she wasn't sure she could keep. "It's okay, baby. Mama's here," even though her own hope felt like it was slipping through her shaking fingers. Across the street, Michael watched. A man in a long, dark coat, sharp features, tired eyes. The kind of person people assume has everything. He didn't. He had money, yes, a company, a reputation. A life full of accomplishments, but empty of connection. Most of his Christmases were quiet and lonely, spent in an apartment too big for one person. He often walked the city during the holidays just to feel something real. Tonight, he found it. Something about the way Claire protected her daughter. The quiet strength, the exhaustion, the fear she tried to hide, hit him in a place he didn't like to visit. He couldn't look away. Claire dragged the suitcases toward a bus shelter. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't the open sidewalk. She sat on the cold bench, rocking Emily, humming softly even though her voice trembled. Families walked past carrying gifts and laughing, the sound slicing right through her heart. It felt like she was watching life from outside a window she couldn't enter. Emily looked up, wiping her mom's tears with tiny hands. That broke Claire all over again. Michael slowly walked closer, not wanting to scare them. He sat on the opposite bench, pretending to wait for a bus. He noticed everything. The dark circles under Claire's eyes, her numb fingers, the protective way she held Emily, the way exhaustion clung to her like the snow on her coat. He couldn't sit still anymore. He walked to the nearest diner, bought 2 hot chocolates, a warm meal, and a small blanket, then walked back without saying a word. He placed the bag near her suitcase and stepped away. Claire jumped at the sound, looked up, eyes full of guarded fear, and something else. Hope? Maybe. She hesitated. But Emily reached for the cup, and that was enough. As warmth returned to her daughter's hands, tears slipped quietly down Claire's cheeks. Relief. Overwhelming. Unexpected. She looked toward the man. He kept his distance, gentle, respectful, not pushing, not hovering, just human. In a world full of cold shoulders, this felt different. Michael knew food wasn't enough. A blanket wasn't enough. Leaving them outside in the cold? Unthinkable. So he stepped closer, speaking softly. He offered to help them find a safe place to stay, just for the night. Claire's eyes widened. Fear flickered. Doubt. But reality hit harder. Emily needed warmth, safety, sleep. Claire agreed cautiously. Michael led them to his car, keeping space between them. Inside, the heat wrapped around them like a gift. Emily fell asleep instantly on her mother's lap. Claire whispered a fragile "thank you," her voice nearly breaking. Michael didn't say much. He didn't want credit, just wanted them safe. He drove them to a small guest cottage he rarely used. Warm, cozy, stocked with blankets, food, and soft lights. Claire laid Emily in a real bed, a soft, warm bed, and felt her entire body melt with relief. Michael lingered in the doorway, unsure if he should stay or leave. Claire looked at him with tired, grateful eyes. He knew he'd done the right thing. The days that followed were gentle, quiet, safe. Michael brought groceries, never intruded, never asked for anything. Claire slowly regained her strength. She even laughed once, a small laugh, and it surprised even her. Michael felt something shift inside him too, a warmth he hadn't felt in years, maybe ever. A fragile bond grew, not forced, not rushed, just real. Claire learned that kindness still lived in the world, even when life tried to beat her down. Michael learned that helping someone wasn't charity, it was healing. Christmas passed, but the miracle of that night stayed with them forever. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue telling stories that remind the world that compassion still matters. Before we end, what would you do if you saw someone in Claire's situation? Tell us in the comments.